Let me begin with a breaking news. A tragic shooting unfolded at a Catholic school in Minneapolis, resulting in the deaths of 2 children and injuries to 17 others during what was a church school. Mass authorities are actively responding to the incident. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchon. I will be your host. I have a very distinguished panelist today. Ali Ahmed, former member, Customs, National Board of Revenue. He is a very outspoken gentleman in international affairs. We have our international affairs specialist, Shamsul Alam Pantho, and from Washington, of course, we have Norman Flyert Barnes. He is our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington. Let me begin with Shamsul Alam Pantho. Is there any other breaking news, sir, you get in the international media is going on right this moment?
A very good afternoon to you, and of course a warm welcome back to Mr. Ali Ahmed, and of course good morning to Norman Flyert Barnes. Let me begin our discussion today with breaking news. We have Ukraine and Russia both claiming that they have downed a lot of drones over the last night attack. Ever since Tuesday evening, Moscow claimed that it destroyed 26 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles over its territory overnight. And alongside, we see Israel launching fresh airstrikes on Damascus countryside. It includes southern Syria as well. So there has been infighting between Israel and Syria. We know that the Sueda province saw a lot of infighting just earlier on in this month. And of course, India could receive a 25% tariff reduction tomorrow if it stops buying Russian oil. This is, of course, according to senior US officials. And that is the top 3 that I have picked out today.
With the Gaza death toll surpassing 62,000, what are the humanitarian and geopolitical implications for regional stability? Because we see the Middle East leaders are totally silent.
Thank you for your question. Right now, stability in the Middle East remains a far question. Why I say this? Today, we opened with the discussion that Israel is also launching fresh airstrikes in Damascus countryside, of course, in the Quetta region. So, as per your question, you were talking to me about how they are planning the full conquest of the Gaza Strip. And parts of the Gaza city has seen deforestation. So, it's not just a fight against the innocent women and children, it's also a landscaping event in which we see the idea of uprooting trees. So, there is no common cause or a common win from this kind of escalation. But however, you see, next month there's the UN General Assembly, and I'm pretty sure that most Western countries and all countries alike are going to come in condemnation of Israel and its brutal attack in its surrounding neighborhood. It's not just the people of Gaza, but it's also surrounding Syria and Lebanon that has constantly faced the brass of the idea of the Israeli Defense Forces. And according to various news agencies, this attack, this gruesomeness of Benjamin Netanyahu is not coming to a pause, but it's being reinforced by the support of the United States of America, which is dangerous for international law and also geopolitics.
I was watching ILTV, Israeli state television. Very shamelessly, they are tagging Palestinian young boys and girls as a terrorist. Don't you think they are using medias to defame Gaza people, innocent people, to the world as a terrorist? And one more question, sir. Western media is also claiming that Israel has been capable to occupy almost 84% of Gaza land. So, do you see that Gaza will exist or Gaza will be part of Israel very, very soon, sir?
Well, currently the Israeli national television is used as a propaganda mechanism for the administration of Benjamin Netanyahu. And what's very sad about this is even as regular Israelis come to the streets in protest of release of the hostages from Hamas and also to stop the fighting between the innocent women and children, this is how a nation remains divided. The administration in Israel is doing such actions that it has caused its own citizens to start questioning Benjamin Netanyahu's administration. But one thing that I can recall back, way back a couple of months ago, when Iran and Israel had started fighting, every time there was a successful landing of a missile on Israel, almost all of the world was in a sigh of relief to see that this aggression towards the Gaza people was retaliated by another country in the region, Iran. Right now, this aggression is continuing, and the occupation of the Gaza city looms at large. But I'm pretty sure that any kind of hostilities between Israel and the surrounding countries, there is one country that will always stand out in the face of Israeli aggression, and in my understanding, that is Iran. And Iran has done so earlier on this year, and I can almost certainly predict another kind of escalation in the coming days.
One of the famous news agency in Turkey, and Turkey's leader Erdogan is always interested to get involved with the international affairs, especially with the West connecting the Middle East countries. But have you been noticed that he's quite silent?
Well, this comes in, he wanted, his administration in Turkey wanted to host both leaders of US and Russian leader Vladimir Putin. But the both leaders and in the mediation of Mr. Steve Witkoff, who's a special envoy for Donald Trump, they have chosen Anchorage, Alaska, the joint base in Alaska, and that's where the talks have been held. And ever since then, the Turkey's leader Erdogan has been quite so silent about this matter. Of course, Marco Rubio and Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has been in touch over this issue of Russia and Ukraine, but once again, even yesterday, we see a massive drone ordinance infighting between the two nations, and it's quite so dangerous as America has tried to mediate this as far as negotiation and dialogues are concerned. But this fighting between the two sides are still continuous, and the more this continues, we can understand that it will end in a big blast. I don't want a repetition of the Hiroshima bombings, but those became quite so significant as immediately after the bombings, the war had ended and everyone called it a truce. So this big bang at the end of the tunnel is what most people fear the most.
Do you think for accomplishing the international standard negotiations, diplomacy, we need to be smarter?
Well, let me comment on here. We as a country are going through a very interim phase, which I have not seen in the last 15 years. The advisory panel and the government of Bangladesh chief advisor Mohammad Yunus, he is a world renowned personality, someone who the entire world takes notice of. But I can't say the same for those who he is dependent on inside the relevant advisory panels. But one thing I understand that we should have a better negotiation team, given that politics of this year is more or less centered around America and how Donald Trump's trade tariffs is taking various countries on a toll, especially the countries that have a higher manufacturing and exporting capacity. Especially with Bangladesh, we know that our RMG sector has been developing over the years, and it is a place of matter of pride when we go abroad into the major retailers and we see on the label that says made in Bangladesh. That's a matter of pride for us, and I feel very proud of my nation when I see such a element abroad. But once again, I would reiterate, you asked a question to Mr. Ali Ahmed that the neighboring country is facing a 50% tariff. It's not because of any kind of regional issue, but it's the issue of them selling oil to Russia. So buying from Russia. So we must understand how it can play with us and what is our benefit here. The neighbor is facing a 50% tariff. Where can Bangladesh pick out and do something that would benefit Bangladesh? That is the point to be noted here, and that's what I think about it as well.
You see, we have seen some very smart guys have been onboarded, like Ashik Chaudhary, Bebja chairman or Bida chairman. We have seen Lutfi Siddiqui.
Yes.
They have the worldwide exposure. But we see still the FDI, foreign direct investment, is extremely slow. Therefore, no new employment is creating, no export product is we are producing. So we are very slow. Do you think government should go for high priority concentration on this to boost up our economy, to boost up our employment, to boost up our nation?
To arrive at a place where there is a stable foreign direct investment, investors only look at a return of their investment, and that is quite so important. Right now, in the coming months, we see a possible election date being announced by the various parties. As an investor, you would only invest in a place where you know that it will garner positive results for you in the long run. Right now, there are places in Bangladesh, there are various economies where investment is required, especially fisheries. You know, there are countries run on a variety ranges of fishes, and of course, some of them have been exported to various countries as well in the past. Of course, as per your initial question, in order to attract stable trade or a stable direct investment from a foreign place, we must ensure that local politics and local elections are done properly. This is one of the major factors for the confidence between investors abroad.
How much China leverage the growing trade tensions between the United States and India to strengthen its own strategic position?
Well, from a business perspective, let me just add on that previously we used to know that American company iPhone, or the Apple company's product iPhone, used to be manufactured in China, and breaking news what is that now the production line of iPhone 17 is being changed into India. So this is a big accomplishment for Apple and of course for the two countries. I don't know how Americans see this issue, but it is definitely going to garner attention. But let me add on here that on September 3rd, there is going to be a Chinese military parade drawing a high voltage allies. Of course, this is to commemorate Japan's World War II surrender. And let me just add on that Russian President Vladimir Putin alongside North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will be in attendance, and of course to receive them Chinese President Xi Jinping will also be there. So this kind of posturing, this kind of photos and narratives in front of the camera will definitely irritate, if not bother and draw attention of the United States and of course the United States President Donald Trump. You know that Donald Trump had earlier met Kim Jong-un, or who's known as the Rocket Man, way back in 2017, if not 18, in Singapore. I was there in Singapore then, and I've seen the two leaders using translators to talk to one another. But as you mentioned, China, you know, they are trying to understand what kind of tariff package the United States will be there, and we know there's a 90-day truce up until November. Whether or not this 90-day period will carry on or stay is a matter of question, as allies of the Chinese administration are now seen coming into China and to understand where the new world geopolitics are standing. I'm pretty sure that America will be taking very close notice of these such developments.